So, all right. In today's news, Bimmy's a rat, Remy Ma's a cheetah, and Papoose is a G. Now, I've already said I don't believe Remy slept with Easy. I just don't believe that. Um, I don't believe that there was a fight between Pap and Easy because there's no footage. However, I do believe if Pap was put in that position, he would put hands on anybody about Remy. That I believe because I'm putting hands on anybody about mine. It's like that's like when Ti stole on Mayweather. Like yeah, some people y'all don't understand that. But
Well, if that's the case, he's a G.
that's why I say
I
he's a
believe
G.
it.
I believe
I believe
that.
Pap is a
Yes,
G,
I believe
and that's
that.
why I believe that didn't happen because
Yeah,
there'd have been somebody
yeah,
would have caught that.
yeah.
The way these people record, baby.
But what I want to talk about tonight is Bimmy. So they all of a sudden they say, so y'all don't know who Bimmy is. Bimmy is Bimmy was down with the Supreme Team, he's a Queens dude. He's Deb's brother,
That
Deb Anthony, Walker's mom.
Waka Flocka's mother.
But Bimmy was down with the Supreme Team. He did a bid, he came home, he got into music. Off the top of my head, I don't know everything he's been involved in, but he's been involved in some really big projects in the music industry, whatever, whatever. So then suddenly now they saying he's a rat. There's some affidavit that he wrote or signed from years ago, and he's on all these different platforms trying to explain it and what it was about. And
What did it say?
I don't know. I've never. That's another thing. I've never seen it. Everybody's talking about this affidavit, but I've never seen it.
So what did he say?
He's saying it's not what y'all thinking is y'all confusing two cases. That was me speaking up for my man or something. That's not the same case that they talking about that I told, whatever. Well, my question
So
is,
people are talking about theoretical paperwork.
well, it exists somewhere, but they round on Bimmy. And what happens is, so like earlier
So
today,
why
I
nobody
seen
could
Zip.
produce it? Because all these things are public record.
Bimmy is going on all these different platforms talking about this thing, and he's contradicting himself. So Zip is going at him hard, and Zip played two different clips. One where he said he did one thing when the cops asked him a question, and another where he said he did something else. So he's like, whose platform was he lying on? And then he mentioned Deb. He said, why are all these dudes, because there's all types of old timers popping up. Soul B was on Mav's joint talking about it, but Deb hasn't said nothing. And he's like, as eloquent as Deb is, and as you know, everybody listens to Deb. When Deb talks, why hasn't she stepped up to defend her brother? And I personally think she hasn't stepped up because she don't give a fuck. And that is my question. They say Benny's a rat. Should we care? And should he care? So if you're in the streets, there are certain things that you should not engage in if you want to continue to move around in the streets. Now they call it the code of the streets and all that. It's not a code. It's about the bottom line. Because if you're in the streets, it should be about $1. And if you do certain things in the street, it's going to affect your bottom line. It's going to affect your ability to make money in the streets. So that is why you don't do these things.
You don't go on the FBI's internet.
Yes, you don't go on the FBI's internet and call out rappers and stuff like that. So my question is this: Bimmy was in the streets. He went to jail. He came home. He's not in the streets no more. When he came home, he knew some dudes that was doing some legal things and some music, some big things. They pulled him up.
What is he doing right now?
I don't know. He does music.
Why is this relevant?
This is what I want to know. Why does he care? Because and
why
should you
did he
care?
even answer?
Do you take because that's my
Who's
question?
still pulling up people's affidavit?
Do you take the streets? I don't know how this came up, but do you take the streets with you? If you was in the streets and your object in the street should be to get out the streets, and you get out, however you get out, you make enough money to get out. You go to jail, you come home, you know some dudes doing the right thing. Do you then bring the street shit with you? Why does he care, and should he care if dudes call him a rat? He's no longer in the streets.
I would never have answered that as a question.
Being called a rat is not affecting him making his money however he's making it nowadays.
No, I feel like that conversation is not relevant when it comes to him because he's removed himself from that element. If he was currently involved in street shit or representing himself as somebody who's still in the streets and then people wanted to question if he's valid or not, that's something different. But I'm not answering that as a question as a person who hasn't been involved in that, again, on the FBI's internet. I'm not answering those questions. And as Charlemagne has so eloquently coined it for me today, because it was Beyonce's internet the other day, but
Now
today
it's
it's the
FBI.
FBI's internet. But and I feel like that's just something that people who, again, I spoke about this yesterday, whose podcasts have nothing to talk about, they reach for these things. This is like basic,
And
but
it's taken over. Like if you go on YouTube right now, everybody's talking about
okay, so
if Bimmy's a rat.
so that proves my point. Yesterday, I said what? I said for Black men to stop talking to Black women about particular topics. You're telling me that what they're talking about is if a man who is about probably 50 something years old,
If he told 30 years ago.
If he told 30 years ago. So y'all still don't have no way to pay more than the light bill. Y'all don't haven't discussed how to get a certification or anything. But this is blowing up all over YouTube. Is a senior citizen a rat?
And I don't get it. He is literally going on all these platforms arguing with dudes defending himself. Why? Why does he feel the need to defend himself? I always use myself as an example. I ran the streets when I was younger. I'm not in the streets no more. If somebody was to try to come up and make up some story and say I was a rat, I don't know if I would really care. Like it's not preventing me. It's not preventing me from doing nothing. Not gonna lie. Like I say, so you bring certain shit with you. Like I'm not looking to tell on nobody about nothing. It's just not how I was raised. But if somebody tried to say I told on somebody 25 years ago, I don't think I'm gonna be going hard trying to defend that. Because what difference does it make? I go to work every day. Them people at my job, my supervisor don't care if I told on somebody 25 years ago. That shit don't got nothing to do with nothing. I don't understand why he feels the need to defend that.
Those
at this
podcasts,
point in his life.
those is low vibrational conversations.
Yo, it just is amazing, and I've seen him on at least 2 or 3 joints, like arguing.
It's not because people are trying to misconstrue maybe her silence as he.
They saying is that it's true.
It's true,
and I'm saying she don't care.
I don't think she has that.
This has nothing to do with her life. Like, why would she involve herself in that? Like, what? The affidavit he wrote or he signed 25 years ago?
That no one has a copy of.
That I don't understand. Well, he admitted it, so that they don't need a copy because he said he signed the affidavit. Like, whatever, I don't know all the details. He's saying what it was for is like people write affidavits. It's not about snitching all the time. No. When my homeboy caught a body up north, and he asked me to sign the affidavit saying
that's
it
what
wasn't
I'm
him.
saying.
Like I signed the affidavit and said it wasn't him. I didn't have to say who it was. I don't know who it was. I know it wasn't him because I was talking to him when the body went
and that's
down.
what I'm saying. I feel like these people they use words and they use terminology and they use things that they really don't have any understanding of. And he's responding. Clearly I didn't see the affidavit, but I would need to see it, right? Like to know what it is. Because again, an affidavit is simply a statement of what is your recollection or your knowledge.
Doesn't mean you told on somebody.
It doesn't mean you told. There's no snitch paper, right? Like, so when you ask to write it, and it doesn't say snitching, like it's not a snitch version and a not snitch version. Affidavit. So then
there's in this affidavit, I think there's a confidential informant that they're referring to as music, and they're trying to say that he's music, and he's like, that's not me.
Right, but that I think because people are just don't have clarity. Like I don't know what the document says, but I'm saying he very well could have written an affidavit regarding an event that happened and not be a snitch. Simply the act of writing an affidavit does not make you a snitch. And I think that there's some type of misconception for people who don't understand anything about the legal system, even if they've been involved in it, and they just use words like that. They get the people going, like, you know what I'm saying? Like
it's provocative.
Yeah, like they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And maybe because I have the background that I have, I know certain things about when it comes to legal process, law enforcement, things like that. But and just people who have been involved in the system should have better understanding of the legal system. But if you're a I hate this word, but like if you're a civilian or you don't really know and you just hear these terms,
but that's what I'm saying.
Equal
the dudes that are arguing this, these is not civil. I understand that the people that are watching these joints are probably civilians. They're excited by this.
But they know that.
But these dudes is not.
Yes, but they're speaking to the audience. They're speaking to their audience, so they know if their podcast says the clips, the snippets, the sound say like affidavit, written statement. They know how they know how to spin that type of conversation. And I'm not. This is not in defense of him. I'm just saying people should be careful on when they're listening to things and asking additional questions. Like because again, the word affidavit is not synonymous with snitching. That is they're very
I just gave an example. A friend of mine was charged with a homicide that he did not commit. He called me, his lawyer called me and said, when it went down, was you talking to him? Yes. Are you willing to sign an affidavit saying that you was talking to him when it went down? Yes. I signed the affidavit. They didn't even ask me who did it. They didn't want to know who did it. They just wanted to know that he didn't do it.
Right. Yeah. I don't know what the actual like dictionary definition of an affidavit, but it's basically like a written, like you're right. You might have had a verbal conversation or whatever, but your affidavit is like stating that the conversation you have or these statements are true. You can have an affidavit for anything. You can have an affidavit of income that you sign that says that this is your income. Affidavit is a word. It's not like, so that's what I'm trying to say. So just saying there exists the nigga might have wrote 300 affidavits in his life. They could all have said, I don't know anything, signed.
So again, why do dudes feel the need to hold on to these reputations from 20, 30 years ago that no longer serve them any purpose? Again, when you're in the streets, this serves you a purpose. It makes it easier for you to maneuver and make money and do whatever it is you want to do in the streets. When you are 20 years removed or more from the streets and doing legal business,
he has to be a senior citizen.
Who cares? He's over 50. Who cares what somebody thinks you did? The record people don't care. The record executives, nobody cares. Why are you defending this? And he is defending this adamantly. I've seen him on 3 different platforms.
I feel like the only reason to do that is because you somehow feel like you need that validation. Like because you maybe haven't accomplished or don't have enough other accomplishments that you need to still have that as your like you to make sure that you're still valid in the streets. Like for some people they still need that regardless of whatever.
But why do you need to still be valid in the streets? I don't think so. You're not in the streets. You're not going in the streets. You're not doing nothing in nobody's streets. Why do you need to be valid in the streets? I don't need to be valid in the streets.
Right.
I don't want to be valid in the streets. These dudes that's in the streets, I don't want to be valid amongst them. Yeah. I'm not going around them. I don't want them to notice me. If I do happen to come through, don't even see me.
So that's what I think. There must be something about some people who still need that. It's the same reason why people, if they have like get to a certain amount of success and they want to continue to engage in activities in their neighborhoods or certain area things that you can no longer do that. You have
got too popular to cop them pies. That shit a long time ago.
Yeah. Well, I think Hov got jewels for all you niggas on how to move, but that's
got too popular to cop them pies. You can't do what you used to do, man. Right. And if you don't need to, what's the problem?
And I just feel like
I meant to Google his net worth because I bet you he's rich. And you on YouTube defending some shit that they said you did 30 years ago when you was in the streets hustling.
Yeah, Hope has another line about that. About he's not in the street, something about how old he is, whatever. There's a whole lot of everything, but that's another story. Yeah, I don't know, and I don't know why you asked me any of this.
I just wanted to talk. I want to see what the people think. Let me know what y'all think. Should Bimmy care if they call him a rat? Should we care? Why do we care? Bimmy's not on the block.
Your comment section said say, who is Bimmy?
Yeah. He's not doing nothing. It makes me think like, are you still in the streets? Like on the low? Are you involved in some street?
Right.
Like, why do you give a rat's ass about them saying that you?
And if you weren't
told on somebody, noticed, you blew yourself up on the FBI's internet. It's crazy. I skipped that. I said in today's news. I also skipped that in today's news. Nicki Minaj's weirdo husband got 120 days house arrest for doing dumb shit.
On the FBI's
internet. We spoke on that the other day. We're not going to talk about him tonight because he's out of line. But let me know what y'all think.
No, we should speak about his dumbass. Just very briefly. Very briefly, I would like to say that anybody who is 45 plus years old that gets on the internet and makes threats to people while on papers is an idiot. So if you,
he's on probation, so I guess he thought it wasn't that serious.
those are papers.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're papers. You're serving a sentence. You're serving a sentence in a community. You have been convicted of a crime. And until that, and there's always a jail option on the back of that.
Lucky he only got
120 days house arrest. That must be some California shit.
That's somebody got a couple dollars.
Okay. So maybe if you're 45 years old and you got a couple dollars and you want to stand on the street corner with your bum ass niggas and talk about.
But let's be clear about the street corner. I don't know what street corner he was on.
He was in Chelsea.
They was in Chelsea. It had to be about 4 or 5 in the morning because they stood out there for a good 5 or 10 minutes and not a soul walked past. Now, if you're not from New York, if you've never been to New York, you don't know what I'm talking about. But it had to be 4 or 5 in the morning for not to be not even a car drove by.
Not even a taxi.
Not even a taxi. That means you wasn't trying to see nobody.
That's all.
Never mind the fact that Offset was on a 24-hour live with the other kid.
What's the name? K.
I don't even know how to. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
I don't know.
Yeah, the kid who shut down a 42nd Street giving out PlayStation.
Yes.
So what happened?
He was over there dancing, having fun, smoking weed, laughing, having the best old time, and he took his private jet to get there. But that's neither here nor there.
Pay attention. This is the shit 6ix9ine used to do. He used to go to dudes' blocks and be like, "I'm outside. Where you at?" And nobody's walking around because it's 4 a.m. Nobody's outside.
The rats was asleep.
I watched the video. So I had to go back and look at the video again with this dude because I was like, wait a minute, a car didn't even drop. What time is it? What time could you possibly have been in Chelsea where a taxi cab or a cop car didn't even go by? But again, this is another dude. It kind of related. Now that I'm thinking about it, 40-something years old,
45,
professional husband. Married Nicki Minaj. Even the article I read, they call him a so-called music professional or something. Because I don't know what he does. He doesn't do anything besides be Nicki's son. He can't do anything because he can't go no place because he's a registered sex offender. So I don't know what he could do.
Now, when I
he can make beats, he can make beats in the basement. He can make beats in the basement. He can do that. I don't know who wants to rhyme over the sex offender beat. I don't know who wants to do that. But if it's fire, maybe they'll do it. You know, do things differently nowadays. But he's the same thing. You're not in the streets. Maybe you was in the streets. I don't know, son. I'm not from Queens. They say he used to be somebody in the streets of Queens. I never heard his name. I know some Queens dudes. I came across some Queens dudes. I used to be in the Queens streets and do some things with some Queens dudes. Never heard of him.
But I've never. But after he made that, I haven't seen a video that came out where people was like, nah, he do this, he do that. I have never seen.
Nah, like I don't know. But why? Even if he was doing all that, why do you need to do that now? Why did you feel the need to go get some 2 other old dudes that I don't know what they do and get online talk about we outside?
First of all, they can't do anything. They didn't have anything to do because when he called, that you were free. You had free time for that
at 4 a.m. to go outside in Chelsea.
Do you have free time at 4 a.m. to go outside with niggas and talk shit on the corner? You got time for that? What are you doing at 4 a.m. Atu?
Sleep. No, I'm lying. I get up at 4.
What are you doing?
I get up at 4 to get ready for work.
But somebody said they was like, come with me outside.
Nah, I can't.
Why? Because you have to get ready to go to work.
It's like the other night when we went to go see Rick Ross at the Beacondale joint. Kano was like, "Oh, you gonna come to Jersey tonight?" I was like, "Ooh, Jersey! I
gotta go to work.
I gotta go to work in the morning." I would have loved to go to Jersey and hang out with Rick Ross and my brother Kano, but gotta go to work in the morning. So I don't know, y'all. What do y'all think? Should they? Why do we take the streets with us? Why do dudes care? Why do dudes 40-something years old still want to be recognized as, the type of person that sent them to prison in the first place? Because both of them did bids. Bimmy did a bid. What's his name? Kenneth, that's his name, Petty? He did a bid.
Yeah.
Is it Kenneth?
Didn't he do 2 bids?
I think he did 2 bids. A total of 11 years. He did a bid for a rape and he did a bid for a body. He did a total of 11 years, which is a whole nother story, which I'm really curious as to why nobody's really spoken on this 11 years for a homicide and a rape, how he pulled that off. But, we're not going to get into that.
Don't start now.
I'm just curious, how is nobody's questioned that on the FBI's internet?
I love struggling for that.
Let's wait till it turns back to Beyonce's internet, and then we're going to talk about that. But until then, man, hit me in the comments. Let me know what y'all think.